We see the Valley of Harmony, a beautiful and secluded location hidden behind a treacherous mountain chain and away from the kingdoms of men. The sky is overcast, there is a river that runs upstream, and there is many a heart both innocent and free that calls this valley home. This place isn't for humans. If anywhere in this quickly changing world is safe from their influence, it is here, where they only exist to some as mythology or superstition, or in the dreams inspired by a lone memento passed down through generation after generation. These things are certainly true. The world is indeed dark, but not for you. Not quite yet. We pass through the clouds, the canopy, and with footsteps as gentle as gathered light, we move through the scattered community. We see the occasional cluster of humble homes built with stick and branch and vine, cave systems everywhere with tunnels that connect them. Some do live in groupings or herds, and others have chosen to be slightly more isolated in their daily life, away from the sounds of free creatures, young and old, living their day to day and gathering the experiences from it. Here in harmony. It is to one of these creatures that we now go. Tatiana, I will let you introduce your character to us. What do we see when we see you, and where are you?
You see very little. Your gaze might pass over Astra as she is curled up in a sort of formless heap in the shadow of a nearby tree. Just dark enough that if you're not really looking or paying attention, you might think there's nothing there. But if you let your eyes linger, you'll see the curves of a form, just enough to know that there is someone there. She's resting right now. It's a bit too early for her.
Are there many in this wood that would normally recognize your form, or are you able to bypass those eyes even casually?
Not many have seen me like this. Most, if they do see me in their restful sleeping hours, in the shape that is most comforting to them. In the light of day, I am something else entirely. They might know me. I make no effort to hide myself.
Just for my sake, dear Astra, or is it Astra? Which do you prefer to go by?
So often she is called by names that are not her own, for there are others who are more comforting. But she knows herself to be Astra.
Would you do me the pleasure of rolling 10d6 as you are just open to witnessing your surroundings?
Why, of course. I'm happy to do that. Okie dokie. So, I have rolled 1, 6, and 2 1s in that.
A success. And we remove 2 dice from our collective dice pool for the scene, where we're at 8 currently. We move away from you, taking in this space, though you are sure you heard a twig snap somewhere, harder than normal, as though the crux of whatever impacted it was sharper, more honed, maybe like steel or leather. But we move from here nonetheless. As we see your eyes turn, we follow that direction. Feral, would you be so kind as to tell us about your character and describe what we see when we see you?
When you see Junebug, you see a massive hulking ball of fur, something like 7 feet tall or so. Kind of a dull, dark blues and purples and greens, but of the swampy, kind of muted variety. He has really large, wet, kind of sad-looking eyes, a pair of black horns that curl at the top of his head, adding another 6 or 7 inches to their height. And you see him peeking around a tree. He's got a grin on his face that is the kind of shy that really hopes that there's someone to talk to. And he's got a basket that's just got sticks and pine cones in it, nothing that's alive. But he carefully treads through the forest, and it's really strange that such a massive creature could move so quietly, being very careful not to damage anything as he walks through the forest. But my friends call me Juni.
Well, Juni, hopefully you'll find some new friends today. As you are walking through the woods, there are patches of sunlight that break through the canopy and the clouds, and they shift. So your tones almost change as you move through this Rorschach that the sun is asking you to believe in. Would you like to roll me 8d6 as you just take in the environment around you on this beautiful day?
I'm so excited to see the sunshine. It doesn't come out very much.
Oh, such a pure heart.
Oh, woof. 1 6 and 2 1s.
Beautiful, that is a success. And our collective pool moves to 6 for this scene. Just like your companion we met before, your eyes are also drawn in a direction. Maybe it was a snapped twig, same as before. Maybe it was a bird that dreamt of swimming underwater, something unbelievable. Either way, your eyes draw there as we move away. We move through fern and under branch. We duck around a pack of birds that seem like they're a bit late for school, and we are making our way to where we are going. Meadow, when we look at your character, what do we see and who are they?
I think first you see a tree, very strong but hollowed out, old thing, something with true roots in this community. And as you kind of pin into the knothole, you realize that it's not empty. And almost languidly, like liquid, this mossy green being kind of slinks out with a delighted as she stretches, and you see her hair is long, just a collection of willow branches dragging behind her, almost like a wedding veil, as she looks about. The leaves kind of like shake around her in the breeze that she's awakened just by awakening herself. And she's looking around for someone to help.
How many of your days begin with you looking around for someone to help?
All of them. That's the point of living.
What a blessed existence here in the Valley of Harmony. Let's give me a roll. Roll 6d6 and see if we can find someone for you to help.
Okay, no ones, but also no sixes.
Beautiful. So this would either be where we extinguish our candle. Wait, you cannot use a virtue or vice because there's no ones. Todd already caught that. Beautiful. As you look around for someone to help, a cold wind passes through. You feel it in your fur, your bark, your leaves, your skin, and a candle is extinguished. These things are true. The world is dark. Meadow, would you like to give us a truth that we will be adding to this next chapter?
Yes, there are poisonous plants that have never grown before suddenly growing in the valley.
Oh, new friends. That's exciting. Juicy, because I will not say your character's name yet because we have yet to meet them. Do you want to add a truth to our world for this scene?
Yes, it is spring.
Isn't it? Oh, we're going to have such a good year this year.
So much hope.
Astra, would you like to give us a truth for this new reality?
It's true that The winter was particularly long this year.
Oh, so much time for soup and community. Juni, do you have a truth you'd like to throw into this bonfire of adoration?
We knew that it was springtime, even though it had been a long winter, because there's a very special species of crickets that plays a very unique melody in the spring.
Gorgeous. I will add, you've been seeing strange treks near bodies of water the last few days. And then back to Meadow for another truth, our 6th truth of this chapter.
There is a way to call for help from other valleys, though no one has ever needed to use it.
Who would ever need such a thing? Maybe help cooling this pie I'm about to bake. Juicy, would you like to give us another truth?
Yes, spring may be here, but the cold still lingers.
And then Astra.
Not too long ago, this valley was devastated by a terrible fire. That no one knows how that fire was started.
Sounds sort of cozy. And this last truth is that we are alive. We move away from where we met Willow, and we don't go to another tree. We don't go to another root or fern. We find a cave. Not a dark and nasty cave, but a dry, well-sanded cave. Juicy, when we find your character in this place, what do we see when we see you, and who are you?
Yeah, I think that our imaginary camera is sort of tilting left to right, and we see these small, like, hodgepodge pieces of furniture that are cobbled together from sticks and stones that are around the area. They're like little portraits on the wall of other of the kin in the valley, but they're made out of like leaves and like dirt, and they're very, very crafty. And the camera gets over to the door, which is open, and there's a very slender silhouetted figure in the daylight. And then we cut to the exterior, and it's the skeleton in rags, who is just sort of thoughtfully going outside along the path a bit and pausing to start picking some flowers off to the side of the path. And Fibula Johnson is excited to go see his friends.
A baby deer runs by and yells out, "You need to eat something," and vanishes into the bushes. But besides that, all is welcoming. It is colder than it usually is this time of year, but the berries are all the riper for it. Are you looking for any flowers in particular today, or are you just enjoying the bounty?
I think that it's early spring, so snowdrops and other small flowers with long stems is what I'm looking for.
Beautiful. Why don't you roll me 96 as you look around, because we are in a new scene, so our dice pool resets.
Okay.
And I have 1 now.
I have 3 6s and no 1s.
Beautiful. Major success. You are able to find as many as you'd like. If you want to approach friends with armfuls of bouquets, you are able to do so.
Yes, so Fibula will collect a bunch of flowers and put them in like this long basket and sit on a nearby rock and start weaving them together.
At this moment, Willow, you find someone that needs help. As you see Fibula weaving these flowers together, so many of them and only so few hands.
I think Willow kind of circles you in a ribbon of this mossy green willow branch. You feel a breeze tickle straight through your ribs as she goes, "Oh, hello. I'm so happy I found you. I was just wondering how to put these hands to good use. May I?"
Yes. I didn't see you there. I was focused. Yes, by all means, here. help me weave these together. I'm making crowns.
Crowns! Lovely. Oh, crowns. What am I looking at?
A flower.
Wonderful. I love flowers. And how do I make it a crown?
Here, let me show you. And with like oddly delicate movement of his bony fingers, Fibula will like show like braiding the flowers together in like a long chain. Like this. We weave them together to make a long rope and then connect it at the back.
Oh, lovely. It's like our community, weaving together to find something beautiful. Let me. And she'll kind of like take the weaving that you are making and start to fashion it into little crowns, sealing them off and knotting them very delicately, though you can tell she does not know how to actually weave them. She's just taking what you're weaving and closing it off. She doesn't know how to do that.
Right, yeah, and obviously working together, teamwork makes the dream work. And yeah, I think we just end up making a handful of sort of hodgepodge crowns and a mix of white and like delicate yellow flowers.
Beautiful.
Fibula, would either you like to give me a roll for teaching crown making, or would Willow like to give me a roll for learning?
Fibula, why don't you take the honors? I don't.
96.
Yep.
The honors.
I love dice pools. Okay. 2 6s, no 1s. I promise I'm not cheating.
Oh, no, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Perfect. These look fantastic. Surely these will be a joy to all of the valley. Those small enough to wear them on their heads and those large enough to wear them as a ring. We move from this space as you notice a plume of dark smoke far away to the west. And we go and we find Astra, and we go and find Juni, Junebug. You both happen to convene on a gathered patch of sunlight, just being scattered beautiful through these leaves as though it wants to show you something. And what it wants to show both of you, coincidentally, is a strange rope around the trail that is tied to 2 strange sticks and a mechanism of sorts.
Juni like peeks around a tree at Astra, and you see 3 thick fingers give you a little wave. I don't usually speak until I've been noticed. I don't like to startle people.
The thing that you wave at, Juni, you see these bright, almost cat-like eyes blink at you before Astra begins to sort of unravel herself from this curled position that she was in, and she stands, and she keeps standing, and it's clear she's very tall, very lanky figure, who seems to be shrouded in something. You can't tell if it's cloth or vines, but you can't really see much of her. Her head cocks to the side, those eyes blink a few more times, and her gaze shifts from you to this strange contraption. And she doesn't quite step out of the shadows, but you see something like an appendage peek out from the shadows and reach for one of the sticks.
Just for the sake of the fan art, with Juni being 7 feet tall in horns, is Astra taller than that?
No, I don't think so. I think Astra is probably a healthy 6'5", although it's hard to keep track of her exact form and shape and feeling at any given time.
Even to be so close to me in height is a rare thing, and Juni starts to kind of giggle with delight as he sees you extend to full height, but then follows your gaze and quickly kind of starts to shrink back behind the tree. What is that?
When you look at this taut rope around across this trail. You could plick on it like a harp. You've seen the harps, the satyrs in the woods. They're beautiful at them, but it's tight and does a boom when you mess with it. It almost looks like there's a tension device on one side of it, like you can see that it's wound up in some bushes.
Yes, this is strange. I think she's going to, like, kind of drag her finger along the rope as you see her begin to follow it, where it may lead.
Beautiful. Do either of you use any sort of traps in hunting or gathering?
I have no need for such things.
I would never hurt a fly.
Of course, who would? So maybe you would have had a little more insight into what this was if either of you had said yes. But right now, it looks almost like a child's prank, like they're trying to trip somebody walking down the trail too quickly. It doesn't appear threatening. The scream in the bushes not far from you could change that. As we go back to Fibula and Willow, them seeing the smoke coming up from deeper in the valley, it could just be a campfire, but it looks a little bigger than that. But you have all these beautiful crowns with you.
I remember that there was a terrible fire that devastated our valley. Someone might need help. So I turn to Fibula and go, "Oh dear, oh goodness,
What?
that. I think we should go help. I think they're in dire need."
Oh, yes, lead the way.
"Wait, let me put on something more comfortable." And she leaps, jetés into the nearest tree to start gong, gong, walking with these heavy steps towards whoever might need more strength, more anything.
Hold on, let me catch a ride. And he'll like xylophone up to you and cling to the side of the tree trunk and lean out holding onto it. Let's go. With flower crowns on one arm, one bone arm.
Willow, would you like to roll me 96 to see if you can pinpoint mentally where exactly this fire is?
I forgot that's what kind of game this was, but yes, of course I will. Okay, finally. No ones, but 1 6.
Beautiful, a success. You would know that to be near the Goblin Bakery. It's a really sweet family. There's a lot of them, but they make scones and pies and things like that, cooking them in these kind of mud encapsulating areas they've built over hot steam vents.
Maybe they're just cooking and I'm overreacting, but it's too late. I'm on the way. Help is on the way, dear. And so I'm going to continue forward, kind of pinpointing that area and moving things out of the way, trying not to cause a panic if I come across any other valleykin that need to not be involved in this.
You both cause no panic. Slimes coming out that see you pass consider themselves blessed to see the xylophone tree as it passes through these woods. The wind going through, making a music all of your own. You do see Frank, who waves as much as a slime can, just extending their intent a little bit. But it does flap at you, their intent.
I toss some flower crowns from my branches if we pass anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Each cube, it lands perfectly on their head, these slime cubes that came out, and it sinks in just about a few inches and just stays there. Where maybe a brain or the dream of a brighter star would live, now this flower crown will remain forever. I will even say that Astra and Juni can hear the steps as they move through the woods. We'll say you're not wildly far from each other. And with the wind going down Fibula's frame and little acorns bouncing from some of the more energetic squirrels that like to toss them whenever Fibula's out and about, you can hear where they are and where they're making their way. But you still have this little prank in front of you and that scream to the west.
I'm an easily startled thing. I think if I heard it, I might jump and maybe potentially trip this rope. I'm kind of big.
Why don't you roll me 96
no,
to
don't
see
do that.
what happens there?
Oh no.
Dot's face right there.
No 6s and 2 1s.
Beautiful. Would you like to use a virtue or vice to re-roll those 2 1s, or would you like to hold on to those for later?
My vice is that I'm cowardly, and I let out a scream that is strangely soft and high-pitched for such a large creature.
Re-roll those 2 1s.
Still no 6s. I got 2 4s.
These things are true. The world is dark. What's also true is that Juni suddenly is hanging upside down from this tree branch with a rope wrapped around their foot, bound tight, like to the point of fur being started to friction rub off where it is. And we will create some truths for this next moment in our scene. Juni, since you had the candle blow out, if you could give us the truth first, if you would.
Juni's tears create new plant life pretty quickly after they hit the ground.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Willow, as you are carrying the gutless through these woods, can you add a truth to our chapter?
The winds tell us things if you know how to listen.
Gorgeous. Fibula, what do you got going on?
I think that we have felt the ground shaking from time to time.
I will add the truth that each of you at one point has been one who could listen to the wind. Astra.
Astra's hands have sharp claws poised for the cutting of rope.
Of course they do. Juni, as you hang upside down, would you like to add a truth to our world?
Because there's not been much danger here, animals tend to be attracted to situations rather than scared away by them.
And I will wait. No, I'm not the 7th. Did I skip me? No, I didn't. This is Willow. Willow, you are the final truth for this round.
Okay. Shoot, should I be sad?
Mm-hmm.
In general?
I do think when the valley or the forest senses someone is scared, they react defensively. It reacts defensively. Not the being that is scared, but the woods and the valley itself.
And our final truth, and we are alive. Juni, are you scared as you're hanging upside down?
I'm terrified. This is the most danger I've ever been in my life.
All these tiny forget-me-nots around Astra begin to scream, like shrieking in these tiny little operatic voices, calling for aid, calling for the community, but also just wildly screaming.
It's only going to make me more afraid, and these big kind of purple tinted tears start to flow even faster and drop down on the ground below me,
See
making little leaves.
As though the flowers are trying to grow up to reach you. And Astra just sees this almost circle of life happening here.
I can only hope that the flowers will cushion your fall, dear one. Do not be afraid, I will get you down. And Astra will reach and cut Juni free from this rope that is holding him upside down.
Fibula and Willow hear the screaming of the forget-me-nots, because how could you not? And then the thud of a 7-foot monster yeti, closet yeti, hit the trail in front of Astra. You're going in one direction, you hear them slightly to your left. So it would be a decision to turn if you were going to go to the Screaming Flowers.
Which way do we go?
Usually her voice is very light and airy, but when she's inside of a tree and piloting it, it's more like bark rubbing against each other, so very croaky. And she goes, "Whoever needs help first." And then just kind of turns the entire tree to start going towards the closer sound, which would be Juni and Astra.
I'll say you all see each other in this moment.
Are you okay?
Juni looks up with just huge, watery eyes, probably familiar with you guys. I don't know what just happened. Who would put something like this here? And just weakly kind of point to the rope that's broken on the ground now.
What is that?
I don't know. I've never seen something like that before.
Here, take crown. And I drop a flower crown on top of Junebug's head to fix it.
It just slips over the little horn. Thank you.
Astra's looking in the direction of the other scream. It seems as though someone has caused some mischief of some sort. I believe there may be someone else trapped. I will go fetch them. And she starts, this dark mass just starts stuttering and moving towards this other scream that was in the woods.
In hearing that you're going to go help someone, I do think that Willow's tree mech just kind of shifts and leans to offer like a really heavy, sturdy branch to Junebug if Junebug would like to come along, as if to scoop Juni up. But she's going to be coming with you.
Get scooped.
Even through big tears, a sheepish grin comes across Juni's face as he takes it.
And you'll see a crescent half line across the front of your ankle, Juni, where there is now no fur and the skin looks red yellow, not a natural tone. You all also hear honeysuckles begin to scream in the direction you're going in. You can hear them over a little rock outcropping, just shrieking as though horrors are happening right before their eyes.
I think Willow starts to try to sing a lullaby to calm them down as she's approaching, but again, she's in a tree mech, so it's just, "Oh, calm down, all is well. Shush, little babies."
And Fibula's like
music
tapping on
playing.
ribs, like using himself as a musical instrument, but it's all kind of like beep, bop. Bop,
Willow,
bop,
just
bop.
because you said the words try, could you roll me 8d6, please?
That's not me, right? That's
Oh,
Fibula.
yeah. No, that's you, Willow. You said you were going to try to sing to them. Anytime you give me a try, that's what I'm looking for.
Next time I'm gonna be like, I definitely sing real good. Okay. Oh no. I got 2 6s and 3 1s.
Okay, so that is... Oh, I rolled horrible. That is a success, but your dice pool drops down to 5 for the rest of this scene. Your song has a mixed result on the world around you. Some of the birds, especially the older birds, really like it. It's kind of more of a traditional croon. But other parts of the forest seem more tense and wound up, which would make sense as you all round this bend with Willow's song going out, and you see Kelly the Minotaur slashed and cut to pieces, laying on the ground in a pool of their own blood, as though like the final gasps were coming. You see that they're missing their familiar like white toga that they've had gifted to them years back at one of the community gatherings. There's a belt nearby that looks like it's been cut. Besides that, they're just dying or about to take their last breath.
I think Fibula jumps off of the tree and rushes forward to check on the Minotaur.
Mm-hmm.
We hear your sound as you run. All of you settling into place. It definitely is Kelly. You see what was probably an arrow wound in the neck and then slash wounds in other locations.
Someone bring bandages. And I think Fibula is going to try and apply pressure to the neck wound. Stay with us, please. Stay with us. Someone, please. Bandages, anything.
Juni's gonna scoop up some mud from the nearby stream that goes uphill. I've learned that you can use it to block wounds sometimes and bring it to you.
You gotta look after Noah. He's not big enough to protect the labyrinth.
Who did this? Who did this?
They were hard. Their bodies were hard. They took all my stuff.
I think in the moments right before, Astra has not seen much death in the waking world, but it is often something that plagues the nightmares of the kin in the valley. They care so deeply for one another that there is fear there, fear of losing the ones you love in horribly tragic circumstances. And she can feel almost the loss of consciousness that comes first before death. And Astra wants to give Kelly a final moment of peace before she dies, to stave away the nightmare of your last dream before death.
Why don't you roll me 5d6 and then I'll let you paint the picture. And you all see the rocks around you kind of bristle as the woods have realized they've been assaulted. Like the rocks flex a little bit and spikes come out of some of them.
Okay, so that is 1-6, but 2 1s as well.
Beautiful. So down to 3 for the poll, but a success. Show me how you give Kelly the Minotaur this moment.
All of you see that where Astra was once standing, she is gone. Instead, she is above you, Fibula, like blocking out the already hazy sun in darkness. You are enshrouded, and Kelly is enshrouded, and it is comforting, like an embrace. Inside the mind of this Minotaur, she's in a field. It is beautiful, with flowers everywhere. The sun burns brightly and hot, but not too hot. The kind of pleasant warmth that makes you want to bask and fall asleep. She's there with Noah, her son. He's just a baby, but there's so much hope in his face, and she feels nothing but love and joy and hope for the future, for her son's future.
In a distant labyrinth unseen, a single lone horn is blown. One that's been there since the dawn of time. And wherever this brave baby, not even baby, he's more, at the time he was a baby, he's maybe like a 2-year-old Minotaur now. He drags a fake toy axe behind him everywhere he goes. You've all seen him. He cries a single tear and knows that the responsibility is now his. And he looks at this massive axe leaning against the wall and begins to weep. Fibula, when you look down, your foot fits perfect in a strange track that was as though your foot had room around it. You've probably seen boots, shoes. I mean, there are pixies here in the woods that love to make shoes. So you would have seen them before, and you see these tracks all around who used to be Kelly.
I think I've seen something like this before. The cave where I woke before I came here was invaded by a menace.
Who would do something like this?
I don't know who they are. But we must protect each other and ourselves.
The smoke from the Goblin Bakery is only thicker than it was before.
Everyone hop on. And it like lowers all of her heaviest branches to get everyone on so she can start like taking off towards the smoke.
Fibula will reach up.
And are you all moving in that direction? Or running away from it, as is also your choice if you would like.
Juni will follow too, but I'm going to linger back a minute. It's almost like a latent instinct that really never had an opportunity to be triggered comes over Juni, and they kind of lay their whole form over the Minotaur, almost as if to protect them, but not putting any weight, and starts to just weep. And they don't stop until the Minotaur is completely overtaken by new plant life before they stand up, wipe their eyes, and delicately tiptoe after the tree.
You see Willow's tall shape already down the trail a little bit as you lift from Kelly with just lilies and blossoms coming from all around them. There will be time to bury. This valley does have funerals and certain traditions and ways of saying goodbye, but you tend to do this to the dearest that are to you, and they usually have mounds just covered in flowers till the end of time. I'm sure it'll be fine, and you can all come back to them soon. As you are all making your way towards the Goblin Bakery, would any of the two riding on Willow like to give me a roll for keeping any sort of eye out during this, like our senses heightened? If not, no need.
Yeah, I would. Fibula is definitely hyper vigilant at this point.
3d6 at this point.
Wow. Gee whiz. All right. A 6 and a 1.
Beautiful. A success, but we're also down to 2. Does Fibula smell?
Not particularly badly. All the flesh is rotted off, so it's just bone.
Can they smell other things?
Oh, no.
Beautiful.
No taste or smell, I imagine. You know, no tongue, no nose tissue, just bone.
Perfect. So you do not smell something, but with your success, you do learn something else. You are about to approach the river that runs upstream. You would know maybe a 5-minute walk through the woods, you'd find the waterfall that it goes up into the higher plateau, and you see red scattered through it. You see like a small wooden arrow, which you would recognize, floating down, even pieces of cloth and clothing, but heavy amounts of red within the water.
Danger. Downriver.
I angle my entire tree suit that way, and I'm going as fast as a tree can possibly go at this point.
So would you aim more towards the bloody river or continue straight towards the smoke coming from the Goblin Bakery?
I can't keep ignoring the smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm going towards the smoke, unfortunately.
Oh, it is fine. A choice had to be made. And the Goblin Bakery is a cornerstone of the community. It would make sense that there'd be a concern for everyone to go to any sort of danger that might present itself there. Do you move through the river, or do you find a way to move around it? It's not so deep that you'd all be washed away or anything like that, but do you wade into the red water, is what I'm asking.
Yes, I do. I'm
Beautiful.
hoping that more clues can be picked up out of the stream.
Oh, with your roots, I would hope so myself. Could you roll 2d6 for me, please, Willow?
I could, but what if we all just got along instead?
This is the Valley of Harmony.
Ooh, okay, best possible. I got a 2 and a 6.
Beautiful, a success. As your roots dig into this water, mostly water tainted with your friends, you feel a familiar energy. You recognize Rachel, who is kind of a matriarch of one of the pixie colonies that live in old abandoned bumblebee hives. They're all very small, so it would take a lot of them to change the color of a river, but you recognize Rachel, having had them visit your branches many times just to ask advice and things of that sort.
I think Willow falls out of the tree. I think she stumbles out of her suit, trying to gather the bodies and possessions of her friends to get them safely to the riverbank, and is just crestfallen. Nothing but weeping, dry sobs are coming from her as she stumbles forward.
There is a long list of names I could give you all as you are gathering these precious pieces that are washing down to you, but you also find things that do not belong to your community. A finely woven like silk shirt that's also pierced. It looks like whoever was wearing this was wounded as well, but the blood is not of the valley folk. It has different smells from like a faraway place where they use different foods and different oils and all of that. It is very foreign smelling to you.
I don't think I have it in me to say that, as I'm just. They need. I think they're dead. And she's going to like clutch the things she's plucked out of the river to her chest and back into the tree. And no weeping sounds come from this suit of bark. It's just moving forward now.
Astra can feel your distress and kind of wraps itself around you more tightly, as though to be a safety blanket almost. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know much outside of what the kin in the valley know. She can only see what they have seen, what they dare to dream of. And this is far from any of their imaginings. But there must be something they can do. There are still people who we can save. We can always do something if we're alive. And we are. We should evacuate the valley if we can. Get as many people away from here as possible.
Yes. First to the goblins and then to whoever else we can find.
Agreed.
And you would all know there are tunnels everywhere under the ground. A lot of them were mapped out after that great fire because people were stuck in different parts of the valley. So you would know there's ways to get under the goblins over to like even Fibula's cave. There's almost another whole system of trails underground. Is everyone continuing to move to the Goblin Bakery?
Yeah, I am.
Juni's best friends work at the Goblin Bakery, and they had spent just a couple moments watching the panic Willow was having in the water before they slipped between a couple cracks in some trees and found their way to the tunnel.
So you're going almost a back door to the Goblin Bakery from underground. That's perfect. Beautiful. Willow, do you enter into your tree mech again, or do you move in a different form now?
I do think that she takes all of the little scraps of clothing and broken weapons and pieces of hive that she can gather as the stream rushes past her uphill and retreats into the mech. But there's no more like creaking voice. You can't hear the echoes of her sobs inside. She's just moving the group forward because they need to go forward. It has nothing to do with her at this point. And she's letting herself be the tool that gets them to where they need to go to prevent further suffering.
Are you attempting to move quietly or just quickly?
Fast as fuck, boy.
Why don't you roll me 2d6s to see if you move as fast as a fuckboy?
That's
Yikes.
really fast.
They move real quick like.
Those hands.
It's those hats. Oh, hands.
They shoot from the hip, those fuckboys. Oh no. 2 3s.
Beautiful. There's not a thing you can do with your vice or virtue right now. These things are true. The world is dark. But not this whole valley. Not yet. Once again, Willow, you have blown out our candle. So could you please give us the first truth for this next chapter as you all are moving towards the Goblin Bakery and only then notice that Juni is no longer with you?
We pay our respects by burying what we can.
We all bury what we can. Fibula, could you add a truth to our current chapter?
Everyone here is a friend.
And I will add, they've been here longer than you knew.
Okay.
Astra,
Yeah. While the bakery is run by the Goblin family, the family themselves are actually away visiting family in another valley, and it is currently being watched over by Juni's friends.
beautiful. Juni,
Being one of the larger and stronger residents of the valley, Juni actually helped dig the tunnels and knows the fastest way there.
and once again, Willow, if you could give us our final truth from the table.
The rain is healing.
And you are alive, but not Kelly. And we see June moving through these tunnels with the knowledge of one that wrote this book, not having to look left or right, not having to check a map, but moving quickly, the 7-foot-tall closet yeti, just scooting through this space. And Juni, you hear something around a corner, unfortunately, and it doesn't sound organic. It doesn't sound like wood or cloth. It sounds like metal and movement. But you do have the upper hand here.
I stop before I come out of view. This is really where I shine, honestly, and very cautiously peek around the corner, as quiet as I can be.
You are able to peek quietly. We will see if you're able to leave quietly. You see a few forms kind of leaning over a gnome. Some like to call him David. He hates that. His real name is Octavius. And he looks unconscious on the ground. You cannot tell if he's breathing or not. He is very small, 2.5 feet or so. And there's 3 forms with shiny, bright, metallic outfits and pouches all along their belts and very cool staff that like sparks with some sort of magic energy. They look amazing. And you can hear one of them be like, does this little fucker not have any gold on him? And they're just turning over his body. They're emptying out his pockets. You see his wedding band slip off and roll across the tunnel.
Oh, jeez. Juni's trying to stay quiet, but he begins to openly weep. He can't help it.
With that try, would you be so kind as to roll me 7d6, please, as the small flowers that grow underground start to sprout from your tears?
Ooh, no ones, but no sixes either.
These things are true. The world is dark. As they notice, Juni, we will blow out another candle, and we are down to 6. Juni, would you be so happy as to give us a truth in this moment as you've watched David and these strangers?
We dug the tunnels with perfect acoustics so that you can hear voices from pretty far away.
Wonderful. Willow.
There are cleverly built trapdoors in the tunnel if you know where to find them.
Fibula.
They have begun to map the tunnels.
Ooh.
For the 4th, I'll say they had already mapped the valley from above.
Ooh.
Astra.
There are others in the valley who have already begun the evacuation efforts.
And we are alive, though probably not David, and definitely not Kelly and Rachel. But this valley does have tools at its disposal, and those tools are community. Years of sharing, of communicating, of raising each other's little critters, and defending each other against the worst beasts like the common cold and loneliness. So this valley does know how to cooperate. We'll see if they know how to fight. Willow, as you are all moving above ground, heading to the Goblin Bakery, you are not far. How are you all approaching that final leg? Is it also with speed and all rush, or is there any cautiousness to your approach?
I think in Willow's current grief, caution is not an option. Speed is going to be the only thing that could spare someone else from feeling this way. So she's going to start running so fast that the bark of her tree suit is starting to crack and split.
You all make it to the green scone. It is built into like a cliffside with like a little counter carved out of the rock out front, and then you can see kind of seating areas on logs and things out front. The very large plume of smoke, it looks like it's coming off a field kind of to the side. You see some smaller creatures of different sorts, and maybe not a hobbit, but something close. And a few high-pointed spiked fey ears are out there, and they're just doing these blankets and trying to put this fire out that looks like it was just in a grassland. You could ask anyone what was going on. You could also help, but it doesn't look that desperate. Like they look like they almost have this fire out.
I think Fibula might call out, what happened? Is everything okay?
Fib, oh, Willow, Astra, it's good to see you all. You see this little, like, very large-footed frog gentleman in, like, a vest coming out. He's like, fucking bonkers. We were just sitting here trying to get everything set up because, you know, we're watching it for the gobs who are out of town. And all of a sudden, somebody shot an arrow that was on fire right into the hay bales over there.
Tony, you need... Everyone needs to leave.
Well, I mean, it was just probably a prank. Like, we almost got it out.
No, this is danger.
What?
We are
Why?
all in danger.
What's going on, Fib?
Something has come into the valley and killed Kelly and the pixies, including Rachel.
Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel. You're in danger. We're all in danger.
You see the frog gentleman just take off towards the direction where you would know Rachel normally lives. You see kind of a scattering of like fox folks and stuff that are like, it's not our bakery. Like we don't like, we're supposed to be watching it. You can see they're kind of torn by the responsibility.
Tammy, Harley, you need to go.
Where are we all going, Fib?
Leave the valley.
What do you... Okay. And these two fox kits put their hands together and just start running out into a mysterious world.
Tell everyone you can that you see.
And I think Fibula will run into the bakery to see if there's anyone inside.
Mm-hmm.
You find no one in the bakery. It's a very open area. You can see into like the rock face, but you can tell that somebody has accessed the back door that goes into the tunnels recently.
Oh no.
And he'll run out.
The tunnels may not be safe.
Then we shall make them safe. And Astra is going to slink off of Willow's back and is going to go into the bakery towards the back door.
And we will make them safe. Juni, you see a figure in a shiny metallic armor, you'd assume, almost like the tree bark Willow wears sometimes, but brighter, start to kind of move towards you with a long, glimmering thorn of some sort in its hand, an obvious blade. Like, I think I heard something big. Did you hear something fucking crying? These tunnels have great acoustics. As they're kind of moving around towards you.
Juni has to fight an instinct to go try to help the gnome, but understanding they probably couldn't, they start looking for a trapdoor.
Roll me 66 as you are looking for a trapdoor and abandoning your community.
I am cowardly. I'm rolling bad. I'm gonna burn my virtue to re-roll these two ones that I just rolled.
Beautiful.
I rolled two more ones.
These things are true. The world is dark. As we are down to 5 dice. Juni, once again, would you like to give us a truth for this next chapter, as you can tell that all 3 of them have seen you?
When Juni yells, like really yells, bellows, it shakes the ground.
Willow.
The tunnels are wide and vast enough that even my largest tree mech can fit inside.
Gorgeous. Fibula.
There may still be a path out.
What a hope. Astra, if you could give us the final truth from the table.
The tunnels are not well lit. There's no reason for them to be. Many of us can see in the dark.
Very true. And the last truth, and you are alive. Asterix.